This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on the State. And on this date, August the 8th, in the year 2008. Weird how the 8s all lined up. And it was on purpose. The 2008 Summer Olympics were starting in Beijing, China. It was kind of awkward to see the games in China. Of course, lots of countries having controversial opinions about China and all that stuff. Anyway, over 10,900 athletes competed from 204 countries with 28 sports. This was the first time China would host any Olympics, and the third time the Summer Olympics were in East Asia. Japan had Tokyo 64 and Seoul 1988. Of course, we all know that Tokyo would host in 2021. Anyway, this was actually the second Olympics held in a communist state, the first being the Summer Olympics in 1980, which I covered a few weeks before. Anyway, Beijing won the 2001 bid, and the People's Republic of China said they would invest heavily in new facilities and transport systems and all that. They would make the equestrian events go in Hong Kong and all that. So it was one of the best opening ceremonies around. Beijing would, of course, host the 2022 Winter Olympics, making it the first city ever to host both summer and winter, which was shocking because Stockholm and Helsinki have hosted Summer Olympics and they're winter countries. Anyway, 87 countries would win at least one medal. China won the most gold. Well, obviously, you figure they put up 100 medals overall, but that was not the winning total for medals. That was the U.S. with 112. So it was the first time Asia got the Olympics in 2 decades. South Korea had the last one in 1988. This was the first time Serbia would compete in the Olympics as a separate state since 1912, whereas they split with Montenegro. This was the first Olympics for Nepal as a republic, the Marshall Islands, and Tuvalu. Panama and Mongolia would finally win an Olympic gold medal, with Afghanistan, Mauritius, Serbia as an independent state, Sudan, Tajikistan, and Togo finally winning Olympic medals. Regardless of that, Beijing was in a tight bid race in 2008. So July 13, 2001 was when they were going to announce it. 5 cities, Bangkok, Cairo, Havana, Kuala Lumpur, and Seville, Spain, tried to submit bids but didn't make the short list. So anyway, it was down to Beijing, Toronto, Paris, Istanbul, and Osaka. I mean, it would be interesting for Turkey to win it and Osaka, Japan to take it, not Tokyo, Japan. Osaka only got 6 votes in the first round of bidding, so that means that it was down to Beijing, Toronto, Paris, and Istanbul. Beijing got 56 votes with 49 against in the second round, which meant that majority rules, meaning that they didn't need another vote. So Beijing was named the Olympic city. Toronto taking second. Toronto had to eat crow for a 5th time because in 1960, 64, 76, and 96, they were up for the Olympics and missed out. A lot of people said that broad international support led to China's selection, especially from developing nations that received assistance from China to construct stadiums. And also the fact of China's size, enforcement of doping controls, and losing to Sydney in a tight Summer Olympics bid in 2000 were all factors in the decision. Because Beijing actually led in every round of voting except the final round, losing to Sydney. A lot of people would not be happy because not only do they have to fight the air pollution in China, but the human rights things in China, especially with Tibet. Unfortunately, human rights kind of ruined Toronto too, because Toronto had a strong case to get the Olympics. Unfortunately, though, Toronto Mayor Mel Lastman made some disparaging remarks about Africans and like the African IOC members and being in a boiling pot. I'll leave it at that. Needless to say, he kind of cost the city of Toronto the Olympics. At least Toronto got the Pan Am Games in 2015, but that's no consolation. Costs were huge. They would cost $6.8 billion, the outturn cost, which isn't half bad compared to $15 billion for London in 2012. So anyway, there'll be a lot of venues and all that, although some of the Beijing venues are really ghost towns, if you will. Transportation and marketing, trying to do the marketing and all that. The mascots were the Fuwa, a fish, a panda, an Olympic flame, a Tibetan antelope, and a San Martin kite. So anyway, media coverage would be huge and all that. The first to be produced and broadcast entirely in HD. Remember when HD was a thing, kids? Probably not. Anyway, NBC did a lot of stuff and all that. Anyway, it was huge and all that. Torch relay happened. It was carried to the top of Mount Everest. It's like weird. So yeah, lots of countries were involved in all that. Of course, there was the whole problems with Tibet and all that, and also Chinese Taipei, or like the Republic of China, not the People's Republic of China. That's what China's known as. So anyway, there were rumors that Iraq was going to get banned from the Olympic Games because of political interference, but the IOC reversed its decision and all that. This would be huge because there were few athletes who actually participate in the real Olympics with despite having disability, and most go to the Paralympics. Nelly Dutour, whose left leg was amputated following a motor scooter accident, actually qualified for the Beijing Games. She actually qualified for the Olympic Games cleanly and all that. And she was able to compete in the Olympics because she does not use a prosthetic leg while swimming. If she did, then she would have to go to the Paralympics. Polish athlete Natalia Partrika, who was born without a right forearm, competed in table tennis at both the Summer and Paralympic Games. So anyway, there were some new events such as BMX, and women compete in steeplechase for the first time. Open water swimming events were there. And team events in table tennis replaced the doubles. So yeah, the calendar started. It was purposely started on August 8th, 2008, at 8 p.m. Eastern time because, no, 8 p.m. Beijing time because China's lucky number is 8 and all of that. Prosperity and confidence and all that. The ceremony start was 8:08:08. They said 8. Yeah. So the ceremony was huge and lasted 4 hours, but it was still fantastic and all of that. Former Chinese gymnast Li Ning ignited the cauldron. All that. Anyway, the closing ceremony happened in London. A lot of things happened. Michael Phelps won 8 gold medals, more than any athlete in a single Olympic game. So he broke Mark Spitz's record of 7. Usain Bolt came on the scene with his 9.69 100-meter final. Little did we know that was the last time we saw Usain Bolt. So anyway, the top 10 by medals were The United States with 112, China second with 100, Russia third with 60, Great Britain fourth, Australia fifth, and France, Germany, Korea, Italy, Japan. Canada didn't do so well. There were a lot of controversies and all that because of China having strict media access and like policing media access and all that. And some people say human rights violations and its support of repressive regimes in Zimbabwe, Myanmar, Sudan, and North Korea. They also had air pollution problems, possible boycotts, warnings that terrorist groups would target Beijing, and disruption from the Tibetan protesters. Anyway, a lot of things for all that. And of course, massive concern was about the ecological impact because they would be kicking people out of slums to build the Olympic Village and build real estate. And it was just not that good and all that. So there were some doping scandals and all that. However, the legacy is that the 2008 Summer Olympics are a logistical success. All that. Many of the worst fears failed to materialize. So it looked pretty good. There were favorable weather patterns, so that saved Beijing in a sense. And of course, the Beijing economy had the influx of tourists and all that. And of course, many of the facilities were underused or even deserted. So yeah. And Beijing getting the Olympics in 2022 was huge. The Winter Olympics, which is like shocking. I mean, they don't have winter culture. But that's how it is. And China has the great 88. Well, that was the day the Cubs finally got lights. But 8808 is just as good, don't you think? Anyway, I'm Jeff. I'm going to do